What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Nice Talk. My name is Nice Chris, and today I have somebody from the UFC, a natural born killer pretty much from what I've seen in this past fight, and I'm just going to get straight into it. As I said, my name is Chris. Here's my name. Not about me today, though. It is about this guy right here, Orion. How you doing today, man?
Doing really good, man. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm kind of excited about it. Can't say kind of. I mean, I am actually excited about it, but just going through the motions, trying to get stuff done, and looking forward to this.
I mainly just want to talk because recently, of course, I'm pretty sure a lot of people saw that you competed in, I believe this was your first contender series, correct?
Yeah, first and only. First and
Yeah.
only. I'm looking for one on my opportunity in front of the man himself, Dana White, and got that contract.
How was that? Was it nerve wracking compared to like past
Man,
fights that you've done, or is it about the same?
I mean, I don't get nervous when I fight, man. Like I was just told, this is going to be the biggest fight of my life. And I've been told that every single time I fight. Every single fight is the biggest fight of your life because it's always an opportunity to progress further in your career. But I don't get nervous anymore. I haven't been nervous for sports or a lot of things in my life when I just told myself, you win, you lose, you lose. So I just told myself, have that winner's mentality. Don't be afraid of doing things. So I'm just not afraid to put myself out there. And I'm pretty sure that can go the same for my brother. We're always comfortable when we fight. The hardest part, training and weight cutting. That is always the hardest part.
Oh,
But going into it, I wasn't nervous. I was more than excited for everything.
you're like I see you as like the next big picture, the next big pay-per-view, the next big like success story, which you're already hitting that with you and your brother. I mean, just the fact that you and your brother are fighting together, like when you guys started, like was this like a dream before of like you guys both fighting like together, or did you guys have other stuff before, or has it always been like fighting?
As a kid, it was just one of those things where we kind of just wanted to be whatever when we grow up. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be a Super Saiyan. I'm pretty sure my brother wanted that same goal too. We grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, and
Nice.
it kind of put us into the people we are today. We grew up watching the fighting as kids, though, so we already knew that we wanted to grow up being fighters. We just knew it'd take hard work, hopping off a school bus to beat up our friends and each other, running up and down hills while fighting and running because we're so interested in reading like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, all that different, anime and manga. But at the end of the day, it was just more so we wanted to grow up to be something. We didn't want to get stuck in the same cycle that I've seen many of my friends and family repeat for themselves after telling themselves, I'm going to be the person to break this cycle. I think the difference was my brother and I, we put it into an actual vision and we kept that vision strong and alive, even when we had a bunch of naysayers telling us, fighting isn't a career. It's not something that you can live off of. But, we're here now. We've had a lot of people through our lives say, like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I just want to fight. And they're like, that's not a real career. What are you going to do for a job? It's like, everything I do is a side job. Fighting is my career, though. So all the hours of training I put into everything that I have, it's just one of those things where it's paying off and it's showing everybody like this is more than, you know, what people say it is. It's not just an opportunity, it is a career.
And you guys fight out of Arcata,
Yeah, so I
California?
yeah, I used to live in Arcata, California. So I was training up there at Lost Boys with my brother Lewis, but he's still up there right now. He still has a kid up there, and it's one of those things where it's kind of like a hard transition for a family versus whereas it's just me. So, I did move down here a long time ago, about 3 years, almost 3 years ago now, and then got to go into Team Alpha Male. But Uriah actually came up a couple of years back when I had my last amateur fight, and it was my brother's last amateur fight too, and we're on the same card. He was super excited to watch us because we just went out there and we dominated. Within the first minute, I think he had like a 58-second knockout or a 52-second knockout, and I had a 32-second knockout. So my brother's like, "Oh, I'm gonna beat you next time." And so I'm still chasing his 8-second knockout that he has. He has an 8 second, an 18
Eight?
second. All his stuff is in the first round. Whereas, I have four first round finishes and now three third round finishes. But our thing is we're always trying to find ways to be better no matter what. We're not going to give up. A lot of people are talking about my brother's gas tank because they haven't seen it. But I can tell you right now, that motherfucker pushes as hard as I do.
Oh wow.
Um, It's just one of those things where it's like he could go all 3 rounds. We can go 5 rounds. We don't give a fuck. We get stronger as the fight goes on.
Right.
And so when people were talking about, his cardio is suspect because he's never gone the distance. Well, fuck, there's a reason I never gone the distance. I don't like judges. They're fucking stupid. They don't know what they're talking about in most of the fights nowadays.
Definitely.
Look at Max Holloway. Dude got ripped off for half his fight purse in a fight that you could either say one of two things. He either won or it was a draw. He definitely didn't lose that fight.
No,
But
I
you
don't
can say,
believe so.
we see a lot of that though with a lot of these fighters. Like they're getting screwed over half their purse because it's half to show, half to win, and just depending on how you set that up. So I've always told myself, even in this last fight with Matt Dixon, I knew going into the third round I was going to finish the fight. I felt it. I was smiling going into the third round, but I was also kind of smiling going into that second round because I knew, hey, he beat me in the first round, but I'm going to come out here and break his will in the second round and finish it in the third.
Yeah, I saw that and I was just very I was like, this guy doesn't just throw, because I see a lot of fighters who will just kind of go for it if they're starting to quote unquote lose. Which I didn't really see too much of that from you, but what I saw was you were just always pushing forward and you were always ready. Like I feel like your like reactive speed is always like your mindset. I don't know if it has to do with like watching Dragon Ball Z or anything. Like you just come up with like weird moves. But not weird moves, my bad. I'm not trying to say that you have weird moves, but I feel like you move strategically. You don't move in a way that people train to move. You move in a way that's almost like natural for you, in a way that's like unique to get around. And it's kind of like how if you ever see Tony Ferguson fight, right? He was like a breakdancer, and he was able to actually like do these weird like flips and rolls and stuff like that. But just seeing you fight, I mean, I see something. Not as similar because he has a different style, but I just see that kind of like unique movement. Which brings me to my next question. You talk about Dragon Ball Z a lot, right? And you have a tattoo, I believe, of it, of like your like arm or something.
Yep, I got it right here, so I'll show it right now.
There we go.
So obviously, it's the whole entire Shenron piece. My family friend James Tur did it. So everything from here on this line all the way down is all hand drawn. So he did everything else himself. He got all the Dragon Balls and all that stuff. It wraps around completely. The plan is to eventually add some more shadowing, get some more recoloring done, and then add electricity. That way it looks like it's just been summoned on my arm and it's actually floating. Give it more of a realistic appearance, even though it's going to stay in that manga style.
That is awesome. That is seriously awesome, man. All right, let me pull up a few more questions before I just get to the casual talk. Let's get through all the important stuff too. Let's just get to the whole. When are you planning on fighting next? Like, do you still feel healthy now? Do you feel like you just need to wait a little bit to see like who the right opponent is, or are you just trying to like just drop some heads for like the next couple fights?
I really don't care who I fight next, man. I just want to fight again. But unfortunately, the NSAC decided, or I guess the doctors of NSAC decided that I need to take a 30-day suspension. I'm getting married on September 26th. My fiance's actually making me some food right now, so I'm lucky to have her.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where I want to fight again right before my wedding. That's just more money I could put towards the wedding.
For sure.
And possibly get another fight at the end of October. I'm always staying in shape. I'm always fight ready, but NSAT did say I have a 30-day suspension pending further investigation. I think they're going to call me on Tuesday maybe to talk about whether they're going to shorten that suspension or not. I mean, I'm going to be back in the gym tomorrow. I'm going to go work out, hit the sauna. I got a couple more interviews, and I just like to fight, man. I've done fights where it's 3 times in 5 weeks. And I'm more than ready and more than happy to just keep fighting. If Dana White would have told me, hey, could you do a catchweight 180? Yeah, I damn well would have done a catch 180 this Saturday on that Frankie Edgar fight card. And if he told me, hey, I need you at 170 again, I definitely would do it. I'm just trying to always stay ready. It's just one of those things where I got to wait on NSAC to get back to me and tell me, hey, you're cleared ahead of time. But if I can't be cleared till after September 26th, then hopefully we'll be able to see me fight again either on Halloween, because I heard there's a fight card on Halloween, so I'd have a pretty badass costume. I like Halloween, man.
Dude, and if you come in like looking Super Saiyan, I will be so happy.
Yeah.
That'd be so dope.
I got some stuff. I do have some stuff, for I like all that geeky, nerdy stuff. One year for Halloween, I was actually, I don't know if, people have heard of the little 30-minute YouTube movie. It was on Netflix for a little bit, but Kung Fury. I just was Kung Fury for Halloween
Oh,
one year, and
nice.
I had a blast with it, man. It was just making fun of everything 80s, and I love everything 80s. So
That's awesome, dude. I think that'll like that really get people's attention. You know, if like hopefully when fans come back, when you come out, let me switch this. Sorry. Okay,
not a
play.
problem.
Yeah, when like fans are able to come back and you're able to come out with that costume, right? Especially if it's on Halloween too, and then you continue it, people will be like, "Yo, this guy rocks." Because you know how like Habib, he like wears the whole afro, and there's a couple other people who wear different stuff, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone come out with like full like Super Saiyan Dragon Ball Z style. I don't know if that's like what you're gonna do, but if so, I think that'll be a really big like eye opener for a lot of people. Next question. When I was first watching the fight, I was paying attention, but I wasn't paying attention to the weight. I thought you guys were 155ers because you guys move so quick and your like stamina is so good. But then I found out you're like a 170, a welterweight. Is there any plans to go down to 155 or is that still kind of like is 170 just your guys' sweet spot?
For me, I'm 170, 185. We're dense. A lot of people have said it themselves. I got legs like a fucking racehorse. My ass is huge. It's that wrestler. Walking up hills every day as a kid and, digging holes and stuff like that just because of where we're from. But my brother eventually will move down to 55. I'd like to see him get a catch weight at 160 just so we can see how well he performed before he drops to 55. But hopefully, here sooner than later, we'll be able to go to the UFC PI, do some testing, find out where we are and how we'll perform at each and every single weight class. I'll never drop to 55, but I will definitely be a 70 and 85 contender and hopefully a champion. I'm going to put in that hard work and I'm going to have that mindset. I do see myself holding that belt here in the next few years. And it's just one of those things where you visually see something, you will obtain it as long as you still achieve your goals every day and you're working and you're striving towards those goals. A lot of people try to say I'm a cocky person, but it's one of those things where it's like I have confidence to such an unlimited level that does match Goku's confidence. He wants to have the toughest challenges. He wants the hardest fights. And he wants that adversity. And it's just one of those things where ever since I was a kid, I've wanted that adversity. I've wanted those challenges. And I've lived through a lot of adversity and challenges. So I do feel like at the end of the day, I've struggled enough to know like when reality is hard. That's why fighting is so easy because of what I've seen growing up or what we've been through growing up. But to go back on an earlier question, there was something you brought up, and I don't take offense to the whole entire. You said, it's kind of like a weird style because it is, but I don't
Right.
think I don't think at all when I fight. So when I'm fighting, I actually just let my mind sink away because in wrestling, we're taught if you're thinking, you're not reacting. If I have to think about fucking sprawling, that means that's a split second that my opponent, if he didn't think about the shot, I was too slow to react. And there's a possibility either A, I sprawled just in time because he was a little too slow compared to my mental reaction, or B, we're working. And he either A gets the takedown or B, I'm having to defend and use some energy for that. But when I was in that cage against Matt Dixon, I wasn't really thinking at all. I knew he was going to come out heavy in the first round to try to get those takedowns. He ended up getting those takedowns. The first one was very nice against the cage. The next two was me on overcommitting. But I can't take that away from him because of the fact that he timed those perfectly. He knew coming into the fight I was going to march forward. He even said to himself, I'm athletic. I'm more than ready to go. He knows I'm going to have really strong power. He knew I was going to be explosive. And that's why he was backing up a lot, I feel like, is because of the fact that every time he hit me, I would back up for a quick second to change the angle. But then, like you said, I was marching on through again. I was ready to just keep marching forward. And that's one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to give up no matter who it is. It doesn't matter how tall, how big, or how strong. At the end of the day, I'm always telling myself, fuck you. I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. I don't care. You could be a 300-pound guy, but if we're having to fight, I'm going to tell myself, I'm not a bitch. I'm going to fight you. I got to get through you, and I'm not going to back up. I'm going to find a way to beat you. And that's what I did. After that first round, I had to make those mental adjustments when I'm not fighting. But when I'm fighting, I don't think my body just naturally reacts the way it does. And it's funny because my coaches, they'll tell me, hey man, like the way you move, it sounded like it's weird. Like you're nonstop moving forward, but it's so unorthodox in the way you switch your stance nonstop. You're throwing things that we don't naturally see people do. But those are my good days. And then the days when, I'm thinking about what my coaches are asking me to practice, that's good too, because then it forces me, it's like, hey, this isn't a real fight. I can slow down a little bit and make sure I'm still trying to practice what I'm being taught or even what I'm teaching to myself outside of practice for the day. But in a fight, you can't think. If you're thinking during a fight, you're fucking slow. Whereas you need to just let your body do its thing. So I feel like at the end of the fights, yeah, I'm a little sore. But also, if I was thinking about, hey, man, this person hit me, or this person stomped on my foot, or this person hit me with a good liver shot. If I'm thinking about those shots that when they're landing, yeah, it's going to take more damage over time versus not thinking at all. And then after the end of the fight, you're thinking about, okay, hey, yeah, I am a little sore, but during the fight, it's like, no, dude, I gotta go fucking break this person's will and finish this fight.
When you think on your feet like that, or not think, but when you react, that's like what I was taught, like in like a lot of ways too. And I think but I think a lot of people just don't understand that, or they just still stick with a plan because, from a lot of people say you have a plan until you get hit. I mean, if you're planning on staying on your feet the whole time, but all of a sudden this guy takes you to the ground, then you got to think, and then you got to, you know what I mean? So the way that you fight, I feel like will bring you like so far. I mean, like it already has. I mean, you've achieved something that a lot of people wish that they were able to achieve. And by simply doing that and continuing to move forward and continuing to have your weird moves, you're able to just dominate. You know what I mean? Like when you literally had that, it was a KO, right?
Yeah, TKO. It was a topside crucifix in the third round.
Yeah.
But even then, it was just one of those things where as I progressed through the fight, my brother was saying it too. Hey, man, I know he was telling me in the back, my coaches were telling me in the back, I know you keep saying that you're going to end this fight in the first round, but if you don't, just know that you are the stronger fighter as the rounds progress. And it's, I've shown that in all my fights. If I don't finish it in the third, well, obviously I finished it in the, or if I don't finish it in the first, I'll finish it in the third, but vice versa too. Um, I don't know what it is, man. It's probably just like that mentality of the way I grew up, just saying to myself, I'm not going to fucking let somebody decide my fate. I'm going to decide my fate. And that's what I did. My coaches were yelling short time. And so I just kept hitting and hitting and hitting when I was in that topside crucifix. But even after I took him down, I just knew, hey, stay heavy with the hips, stay heavy on top. Don't let him try to, slime out. I'm not saying he's a slimy person, because he was just sweaty. So don't let him use that sweat to slime out of a situation to get out. Keep your hips heavy, and that's what I did. I put him in a triangled half guard. So I just made sure to stay heavy on that leg. And then when I was able to move out, I got that full mount position. I was able to capture that gift wrap with his arm even trapped. So, he was stuck here and his arm was stuck in between, which made it even worse. I was able to get those elbows from the top. And then I was just, I wasn't picking and choosing my shots, except for in certain positions where I didn't want to look like I was just holding on. I had to stay heavy. So some shots were just to set up the heavy shots, while I was on top, and I started throwing heavy shots. And as soon as he felt the first two, he started covering up and moving his head. But that made it to where I was able to transition. But I'm not even thinking when I was in transition. My body's just naturally doing everything that I've done in training before. So I think when I spar, I think when I train, except for when I'm told, hey, we're going to go live. If we're going live on wrestling, I'm not thinking, I'm just doing. But if I'm told, hey, we're going to drill today, yeah, I'm going to take my time to think about certain situations. That way my body naturally learns it. That way it's similar to, I don't know if people read like Dragon Ball Super and stuff like that or watch Dragon Ball Super, but it's like Ultra Instinct in a sense. You're not thinking, you're just letting your body take over and do what it's naturally taught itself to do. That way you're at your strongest and most physical peak.
Right. I'm gonna have to get these like quotes or anything you talk about Dragon Ball Z and pop it up just so people can understand too. So if they don't know anything about it, at least they could like look at it and see. So I'll definitely be getting some of those visuals to put over. Of course, this probably won't be in there of me telling them that, but I'm just putting that from my editor. At a press conference, I heard you talk about fake. And I'm really interested in this stuff because I like love trash talk. I love confidence, and I think a lot of people do too. And like you mentioned, like potentially fighting like a Tyron Woodley, a Conor McGregor, I forget who the last name was. I think it was Colby
Covington.
Covington.
Yeah, it was.
I just want to know if you
Just
want to
one.
elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. No, I got asked. You said there's a lot of fake motherfuckers in the UFC, and let's face facts. I'm not shitting on their style. If that's what they want to do, they can be fake. That's cool. But to recap on the Colby situation, I talked about it in another interview. He was about to be cut from the UFC. Him and his manager both came out and said he was going to get cut from the UFC, win or lose against Rafael dos Anjos. And he won that fight, and the first thing he does is he shits on Brazil.
Oh God.
He won that fight, and he shit on Brazil, but what did it do? It caused what? It caused news media worthy attention. He was a guy who was super humble going into this fight, talked about how he's just going to work hard and get that belt. I don't think he lost in the UFC at that point, but being told, hey man, you're just not exciting enough. This is what we're gonna do. He found a way to overcome that. So I understand why he had to do that. And then I've heard people talk about how they're like, hey man, I don't know why you call him fake. Like he's one of the nicest people I've ever met. I'm like, he's fake for the sense that he has to put on a persona to sell who he is to the fans, to the audience, and to the UFC to keep his job.
Right.
But then he let it take over who he was now. Like let's face facts. Anytime he's on social media or anything, it's just, dude, like get this guy to shut up. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he is a good fighter.
Right.
But same with Conor McGregor. When he was first in the UFC, he was known as Mystic Matt. He never made an excuse for anything because he was winning. He went and knocked out Jose Aldo just like he said he would, and that got people to build the hype even more and more and more. And then I think eventually after he beat Eddie to be a double champ, that's when it got to his head. He started doing more antics. He started getting a little bit more crazy with how he had to present himself. And I think he just let that slip away from him, possibly. But then he starts, talking shit about Khabib's family, his religion, his people, his country, his ethics. And Khabib said it himself. He said it best. You can talk about me, but just don't bring my family into it. But then Conor keeps doing that. He's building those antics. His team's laughing. The UFC's laughing. Fans around the world are laughing. And then all of a sudden, Khabib's the asshole because he said he was going to do something after the fight. He said what he was going to do. He said, I'm going to win. I'm going to smash. And then me and my team were going to smash your team. They didn't lie. They said exactly what they were going to do. Right. But then they were the asshole because they did something about it. It's like, yeah, it's kind of fake, because we hear in the fight, he's all, dude, it's just business, man. And Khabib's like, yeah, no, just business, huh? Just business. He's all, because Conor had nothing for it.
Right.
But that just goes to show, man. Like, I think it's fake, though, if you're not that kind of person in real life, but you're doing that to try to get under people's skin. And we see that with a lot of people. We see that with a lot of people in the UFC who have to bring it up. But then I just heard about a guy who was in the UFC talking smack about a guy's daughter, their family, and then the team was doing the same. But then in real life, they all meet up, and the team and the family's like, hey, man, good luck. We're looking to a good fight. And the guy's like, nah, fuck you. You're just talking about my fucking – you're just talking about my fucking family. You're talking about my people. Now go fuck yourself. And that's the kind of person I am too. If someone's going to talk shit about me, that's cool. Go ahead. Say whatever you want. I'm on social media. I won't take offense. I'll just talk shit back. I have no problem with that.
Right.
But if you're going to talk about my brother and his kid, you're going to talk about my fiance who's about to be my wife, you're going to talk about my family and my people – my upbringing of the culture and stuff like that, no, we're going to have a problem. Like, I've let it be clearly known in multiple interviews. I've said it on social media now, and I've said it at weigh-ins. If someone gets up in my face and, Ronda Rousey is another perfect example. She let all that egotism get to her head.
Yeah.
And then when she tried to put her hands in Holly Holmes' face, so Holly Holmes did it back, and then she tried to say, fuck you, you're fake as fuck, you're supposed to be a preacher's daughter, but you just proved that you're not godly. It's like, Rhonda, you dumb bitch. Like, you were just all your past opponents. Shut the fuck up.
Right.
I actually won a lot of money off that. I told everybody, second round head kick knockout. I put a bunch of money on that. I won good money off that fight because I knew exactly what was going to happen going into that fight.
Right.
But I just don't appreciate that kind of shit. What you hear from me is going to be what you get. You're not going to hear me take back something. If I'm wrong, whatever. But most of the time, if I'm right about something, it's because I studied it and I know exactly what I'm talking about. But as a fighter and as a person, I'm not going to let people dictate what I say, what I post, what I do. I have my beliefs. People have their beliefs. I just want to go out there, though, when I'm fighting. Matt Dixon, he was super humble going into the fight. Obviously, he thought he was going to finish the fight, but I didn't take offense to that. He didn't talk about my family. He didn't talk about my people. We didn't jaw off at each other going into the fight. And I've never had that. I've only had one person try to jaw off a little bit, saying how they're going to smash me and stuff. But obviously, it's not happened since I'm 7-0.
Yep.
And, I let my fighting do the talking. I don't try to go out and talk bad about my opponents or them. If they want to talk bad about me, that's fine. I'm just going to say the same thing I always do. Hey, man, I'm going to go in there and beat your ass.
Right. Definitely.
So I think a lot more fighters should be humble. That's my opinion. Maybe fans don't agree. They like that shit talk. But if they're going to shit talk, just shit talk towards me. Don't bring my family and people into it. Don't bring any of those kind of things into it. Because then we will have a problem. I'm not afraid to have my fight start right at the weigh-ins. I'm not afraid to have the fight at the post-fight or pre-fight conference where we're having a talk. I've said it before, and I'll let it be known, hey, he's got one warning. If he says it again, I'm just going to beat his ass right now, and I'll whoop his coach's ass too. I have no problem doing it.
So tell us a little bit about your like backstory, because we hear a lot about how your like upbringing and stuff that kind of led you to fighting, or even led you to becoming a better fighter, and just the motivation behind it. Just kind of like, where did that start off, and like how like was that for you, and like what age did it start?
Yeah, no, backstory, it's weird because I remember a lot of stuff since I was like 2.5, and it's just one of those. It's crazy, a lot of people think, oh, most people don't remember that. It's like, well, I do, fortunately and unfortunately. There's a lot of stuff I saw growing up that a kid shouldn't have to see. That was pretty dark, and one of these days I'll be able to open up about it more. But my brother and I have decided, for the sake of it, it's just now not the time. But there was a lot of dark shit that I saw. There's some stuff that my brother forgot. And I'm glad he forgot some of that stuff, but there is a lot of stuff that we do remember together. And growing up, we were just kids, but we're kids who got told to be used to it pretty much. It wasn't that we were told by everyone to get just used to the idea that this is just how it is. But we did have those people where it's like you're going around as kids playing and you didn't realize, like, maybe your parents or your family and friends are just drunk or high all the time. And you didn't really understand that because you weren't focused on them. You were focused on just having fun. So as a kid, when you're growing up, you're just having fun. You're playing with your friends. You're going around. You're going to school. But, I can also say that there were good times, with family and with family friends and stuff like that. But we were also kids that were raised a certain way. Like, we had to help dig holes from a very young age. We're planting. We're taking soil and water lines up the hill, down the hill, wherever it is. I can't give away spots because the people back up in Humble will try to steal them. But all jokes aside, no, it's just the way to get away from that was to make sure that I was going to school, playing sports, just staying busy, and just making sure my brother was doing all that stuff too. We didn't want to get caught up with any of that. We saw what it was doing to people. And I remember from a very young age, I think I was 11 years old when I finally started to tell myself, dude, it's disgusting. And people got upset at me. They're like, whoa, hey, you don't be talking about that person like that. And I was like, why not? It's disgusting. They're drunk every day at the same spot. They have a house and a family they can be with, but they choose to go and drink with all these other drunks or do drugs with all these junkies at the same spot on a beautiful reservation every single day. So I was always told, shut my mouth. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand the situation. You're right. I don't understand the situation, but I understood my situation, my brother's situation growing up. We couch surf a lot. Our family, for what they could do, was trying to give us the best life, but we're not going to sit here and let them say, we were protected our whole lives. There'd be times on end where we had family not even understand that we were alone for days on end, and having to just run to a neighbor's place in hopes that we could have dinner with them or something. Or, our parents, they were fighting a lot. So they were together here and there, they ended up splitting ways and stuff like that. But it's just crazy to see it all because, they were doing their best for what they dealt with when they were younger, but they allowed that to overtake how they would be as parents. And it wasn't until that we were older that our parents finally apologized. And, we forgive them. And we forgive a lot of our family because we were fortunate enough to have other family friends take us in. So we were home to home a lot. So we didn't have that stability, but also at the same time, I feel like that also made it to where it was harder for us to want to settle in one place unless we were living together. And I just got so used to the traveling that I just wanted to always be on the road. I was always excited for football season, wrestling season, and just sports in general because it gave me the opportunity to get away from all of that throughout the duration of whatever was going on. I just always used sports as an outlet to make sure I wasn't ever getting caught up with any of that, negative shit growing up. But there was also a lot of stuff that I've seen that, there's people who deal with worse. I'm not going to sit here and say I've had the worst childhood growing up. I'll never say that. But for those who are dealing with the same possible life that both my brother and I grew up, all we can say is, dude, keep fucking working. Take the high road. Don't allow yourself to dwell down that dark path because shit, I just refound God last year. It was one of those things, and a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, God isn't the reason why you changed your life around. And, they're right. God wasn't the reason I changed my life around. I had to make those decisions for myself. But at the end of the day, I had to keep making sure that I always did what I needed to do, stay a good person, and never change. The only thing I changed was I stopped being religious and I quit believing in God when I was 12 because I was like, dude, if there's a God, there's no fucking reason why someone like me and my little brother need to be dealing with this shit. And so we just took matters in our own hands. But then last year, a lot of stuff happened and I was just telling myself, I was like, dude, life is just so rough. It's like I've always put the burden on myself. And then I was talking to some friends, I was talking to family, and I got back into it slowly. I started to reread the Bible because the way I read it, I was like, we were forced to read it, but then we were beat for misreading it. It was weird. It was just, it was kind of, I hated it. I was like, man, fuck this. Like, I shouldn't be beat for trying to read the Bible or not doing a Bible study for a day. But then I got older and I realized I was like, you know what? It says in the Bible, we're all given free will. And it's just nice to be able to pray. I've always believed in prayer. I believe in the afterlife. I believe that, there's ghosts and stuff like that. So I was telling myself, stop being a fucking hypocrite. If you believe that there's because I'm always watching ghost videos and stuff for fun.
Yeah.
But I just tell myself, if there is an afterlife, if I believe in an afterlife, that means there is something beyond. So I'm not going to sit here and say I know exactly who or what God is because I don't think anyone actually truly does.
Right.
But I do know that it's kind of helped turn my life around to where it's I'm not always negative. I grew up pissed off always. And I don't feel pissed off as much anymore ever since I had refound my faith. But, I'm not going to sit here and also tell other people they have to believe in God. That's not something people have to do. I'm not going to sit here and say, you have to, you're going to hell. That's not what I'm saying. Just all I'm going to tell people is, man, no matter how rough it gets, keep being a good person. Do what you got to do to get by. Have faith in not just yourself, but the people who are going to be there to support you. And when you do that, you'll find a reason for everything. And that's what we did. We found a reason for who we are. My brother was blessed, with nephew. So far, I've been blessed with everyone I've met in my life. And I just tell myself, keep the negative people out of my life. And that's what I've been doing. It's been great. And yeah, so the only thing to take away, people, is just, it doesn't matter how hard it gets. Just don't allow yourself to fall down that dark path. Keep pushing forward. And that's kind of how I replicate my fights. First round, a lot of people were there talking about it. Oh man, yeah, Matt Dixon was the favorite for a reason. He just went out there and dominated round one, but it's he took me down and he didn't do anything with it. But I wasn't thinking about those things. I was just thinking about second round, I'm going to wear him down. I'm going to beat him in the second round. I didn't beat him in the second round. So you know what I said in the third round? I smiled and I was like, he's done. He's gassed. I'm going to go out and I'm going to finish it in the third round now. I didn't give up that idea of I need to finish the fight. And I kind of put those feelings in my fights from how I grew up. It doesn't matter if there's adversity I deal with, I've dealt with worse. So fighting is easy because of what we grew up with.
Right. That was awesome. Stories like that, it's kind of good to hear, especially coming, from you, someone who's made it to a certain point in their life, and someone similar to me who grew up in that similar situation. Now, I don't know on the darker stuff. I don't know if I've ever been through anything crazy. It's just homelessness, not knowing where my next meal is going to come from, also going to friends' houses to eat, and I think you hit it right on the button. Just overcoming it is just staying busy, because when you stay and you hang out with those people, it's just that same quote, like you are who you hang around and stuff like that. So I know it's getting late, so I kind of want to hurry up and end this now. But everything you've said, I believe someone's going to see this and they're going to be hopefully inspired. I mean, they don't have to become a fighter, but just do something with their life and just get out of the shit, just get away from the negativity, get away from the people who are just not on a path to do better for themselves, to have like a family and house and job and money and just be happy, really. And but I think this was great, and I really thank you for your time. I really appreciate you reaching back out. I was kind of surprised. I was like, I wonder if he's gonna actually reach back out. So I really thank you for that.
I made sure I was like reading every single message. I wanted to see if there's going to be more interview opportunities. I wanted to see like if I've reached out to people, and it feels cool to be told by a bunch of people on social media, like, and it's like kind of what you were talking about too. Like I had a bunch of people reach back out to me, and they're like, dude, we heard your story. We were excited to watch you fight. You showed that you overcame adversity, and not just your fight, but it proved to us like your fighting style was similar to how you grew up. You didn't quit. You didn't give up. And that's inspired me, because they were telling me how a little bit about their story, and they were just asking for a little bit of help and advice. And I just told them, whatever you do, man, do not give up. And, they're thanking me. So, and some people I have chit-chatted with a little bit here and there. And then just others in general, they're asking some questions about what does it take to overcome that adversity, to become a fighter, or just to, stay a good person in general who wants to go out and be a role model. And I can't sit here and say, man, that I'm a role model. I've never tried to be, but I will say that I know that through my actions and through my words that I can be a role model for people without having to try to go and be a role model, if that makes sense. I don't want to try to be something I'm not. I'm just going to be myself. And if people tell me they look up to me and that they respect me for who I am, then I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job. And for all the naysayers and the haters out there, you know what? It doesn't matter what they say. I'm just going to talk crap back in a jestful way. I'm going to have fun with it. But at the end of the day, I'm going to keep being who I am and keep pursuing, living a good life.
Awesome. There we go, guys. That is Orion. And he has it. He has it. So, guys, please go find. Where can they find you on social media?
They can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And on Facebook, it's just my name, Orion Cosce. But on Instagram and Twitter, you can just type in my name. I'm the only Orion Cosce in the world, so you won't find any other one. But yeah, at Galaxy Cosce. For my Twitter, I don't really care about Twitter, guys, so I'll be on there here and there. I'll just probably post a bunch of like sports and like anime, manga stuff. I'm a huge Raiders fan, so go Raiders. Hopefully they'll follow me one day. That way I can go in and get that camaraderie with my favorite NFL team. But overall, man, I'm just gonna have fun with it. If people want to chit chat, if I can be, like I said, not trying to be a role model, but people are inspired by my story, by my little brother's story as well, and how we grew up, then yeah, we'll do our best to try to give back where we can, because it's just a good thing to do. We don't want people who have crappy lives to continue having crappy lives. We want to be able to tell people that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to work hard for it. Like, you can pray all you want, you can try to depend on others, but you got to take your visions into actions. And one last thing, my brother didn't think that he was going to be here. We were talking about that at the post-fight press conference when we were on ESPN Plus doing the presser. My brother, he's like, dude, if it wasn't for my brother, I'd probably be on drugs or in a ditch somewhere. And it's vice versa, man. If I didn't have my brother, we had people growing up for each other. So it made it fortunate for us. But for people who didn't have siblings, if you got a best friend, that is your sibling right there. I got best friends I still call brothers and sisters to this day. So, at the end of the day, guys, your family isn't just blood. Your family is the people who are going to be good for you. So always keep those people by your side. Just because you're having a bad moment, don't let yourself push those good people out of your life. So just keep on keeping on, guys. In the wise words of Joe Dirt, life's a garden, dig it.
But that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.